Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our international guest lecture is about to begin. Please have a nice day. Thank you for preparing yourself to join this session. I would like to welcome all of you with this Islamic reading. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My peace, blessing, and mercy of Allah be in all of you. Good morning, Your Excellency, the speakers, Dr. Sirhajwan Ide and Mr. Marklin from Keningau Vocational College, Sabah, Malaysia, the Honorable the Head of English Education Study Program, Mrs. Jusina Aprianti, MPDBI, and the students of English Education Study Program, STKP PGRI Pacitan, as the participant. Today, June 12, 2024, we will take part in the International Test Lecture organized by the English Education Study Program STKIP PGRI Pacitan and then Writing Effective English Articles, a complete guide for scientific writers. I am Ariani, as the moderator who will guide the discussion. On this occasion, I would like to inform from the speakers and participants that Mrs. Jusina Aprianti, MPDBI, could not attend in the discussion because Mrs. Jusina was carrying out monitoring activities. However, we hope that this activity will be carried out well without losing the essence of the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, before entering into the main activity, let me provide the map of this international guest lecture. The first one, the presentation of speakers in 60 minutes per speaker. After that, there will be a question and answer session in 15 minutes time allotment in each material session. If there is more than the given time allotment, I'm sorry, I would like to say the interruption, please. The last one is closing statement. Then we enter to the main activity. Our first speaker today is Dr. Sirhajwan Ide from Keningau Vocational College, Sabah, Malaysia. Okay, I will read the curriculum vitae first. He is Dr. Sirhajwan Ide, is the Head of Research and Innovation, Keningau Vocational College, Malaysia. He received PhD of Education Research in University Technology Mara, a Master by Research in Education in Keningau Technology Mara. His experience in career including English teacher in Keningau Vocational College, Head of Research and Innovation Unit and Internalization Unit. He also has selected honor and awards. One of them is recipient of Youth Achievement Record Southeast Asia in 2023. Okay, good morning, Dr. Sirhajwan Ide. Okay, I apologize if I'm not mistake in pronouncing your name.
Yeah, morning. Thank you for the introduction.
Okay, are you ready for the presentation?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, now let's welcome the first speaker, Dr. Sirhajwan Ide, to deliver the presentation. Doctor, you have 60 minutes time allotment and it's your turn.
All right, thank you so much. So yeah, hello everyone. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. Just let me know if you can't hear me. All right. I'm very honored to Mr. Marklin and I. We are very honored to be invited as guest lecturers for this slot. I've been talking to your lecturer, I believe, Miss Chusna. So she has been very proactive and very energetic. I believe she's not able to join us today because she's somewhere outstation. Yeah, but it's amazing to have somebody like her. So today, actually, it's a short notice that we are planning to do this. So Mr. Marklin and I will try our best to deliver the lecture on the topics given to us. So I believe you guys are either English language students or you are studying English language as a part of your program. All right, and today the topic is basically writing an academic article. So I'm going to share a slideshow. So I have a slideshow. I'm going to share it now. Okay, can you guys see the slideshow?
Okay, sure, we get it.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I'm just going to, it's academic writing. So when it comes to academic writing, um, there's, these are some of the important aspects that we'll be looking into. You know, abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, results and discussion, summary, conclusion, and recommendation, references, and appendix. Okay, and and then it's a little difficult with Google Meet because when I look at my slide, I can't look at you. I can't see you. Okay, so for chapter one, introduction, there's often there are seven important aspects, whether you are writing a research article or you are writing a thesis, I'm sorry, whether you are writing a thesis, a dissertation, or even a short article. So these are the things that you will look at into. And um, they are, sometimes they are, if they are in a form of an article, so they are more in a condensed form, not exactly in this state. So we look at that as the introduction, background, problem statement, objectives, research questions, significance of studies, and scope of studies. So this is for chapter one, introduction. Whenever you write a research article, it's important for you to provide the introduction and the background to your research article. So this involves uh, whenever you start writing your article or your dissertation, you're going to link it to the current issues or current policies or current news or even local scenarios. So it can be something that is universal. That means it's happening all over the world, or it's something that is contextualized in certain areas. It could be in Southeast Asia or even in your own country, Indonesia, or even specifically in your own state or division or district. And when it comes to introduction and background, we are also summarizing the chronology of our research article. It's either the chronology, or thematic way. That means there are certain themes that we look into when we are doing our uh, the beginning, when we are writing the beginning, the introductory part of our research. So what I usually like to do is that we are teaching academic writing at our college, but we are writing them in the national language, Malay language. So we are not writing them in English, but still it's pretty much the same. So when you write your introduction, when you are writing a research article, an academic article, you can say, so I've done a template here. You can say the research project was, you talk about the brief description, you talk about the purpose of the research, and then whatever that the research project involves, components, components, materials, aspects, activities, and then you talk about the target group, who are your target group, your subjects or your respondents. Are they students? Are they villagers? Are they customers somewhere? And then what is the potential contribution of your research? So this is what you write in the introductory part of your research article. And that's very important. So what I did here was it's a template, and I use this. It's originally in Malay language, but I use this for our students who are doing their final year project writing. So in every academic writing, you will be required to you will be so in every academic writing, you will be required to write about background, to discuss the background. So the background here, I put it here in the template. It's the situation, and then the concern that led to this research project. So let's say you are writing a research on why children do not like to eat vegetables. So you talk about that concern, that particular situation that is happening maybe at home or at primary schools or at preschools or nurseries or at restaurants. So you talk about that. You start with that situation that led to this research project. So that's the thing about background. It's something that kick-started or something that became the catalyst for your idea or for your research. And then you can talk about, and how your research, and then in your background, you talk about what led to that research and how your research is going to tackle or address this rising concern. So let's say again, let's say you are writing about children not eating vegetables, and then how is your research going to tackle about it? So maybe your research will be about studying children eating habit, or the kind of taste of flavor that they like to eat, or the kind of shapes of food that they would like to eat, so that in the future people can come up with something that can meet their appetite. All right, so that's the thing about background. And then problem statement. Now, problem statement is extremely important in any form of writing, whether whether you're writing a thesis, dissertation, research articles. There is always a problem there is always a problem that we need to solve. I'm trying to get rid of this green stuff here. I thought it's going to disappear, but it stays there. Eraser. Okay, it's an eraser. Okay. So, problem statement. So whenever but you have to write a very convincing problem statement in your academic writing. What problems are you trying to solve? I like this annotation. Stop annotating now. So what problem are you trying to solve with your research? There must be some sort of problem, some sort of issues that you are trying to solve, trying to address, trying to tackle. So what is it? So, and then you have to explain it. Um, Sometimes we come up with an idea, but we don't know what problems that we are trying to solve. So these are very common issues that we have. People, sometimes we have all these things that we would like to do, but we do not exactly what we are not exactly aware, or yeah, we don't really understand of what problems that we are trying to solve. So we need to have that kind of problems that we need to focus on, and it has to be specific and clear. So I put it here, number one, number two, and number three. So number one, what is happening or what has happened that your research is trying to find out or trying to solve or address? And then who are involved or what are affected? So whenever we do a research and then there's a problem, there must be a group of subjects or people that are experiencing these problems, or maybe some certain places like a forest or animals that are experiencing certain uh, problems, issues that we are trying to help. Okay, so the who or the what, if they are not humans, and then what are the effects? Number three, when we talk about problems, we need to discuss the long-term effects and also the short-term effects of these problems if they are not being addressed properly. Okay, so let's go back to that children. If children don't eat vegetables, they don't get enough nutrients, and this might affect their growth, this might affect their health, and they might get disease or illnesses as they grow up, and uh, they might become so used to it that they won't be eating vegetables for the rest of their life. And we do need to eat vegetables. So this is the kind of uh, issues that you need to resolve. I just want to check, are you guys looking at the same slide that I'm displaying? Problem statement, that's what it is there. Is it the same slide? Problem statement, what problem are you trying to solve? I just want to make sure that we are on the same page, because sometimes in Google Meet, in Google Meet, well, based on our experience in Malaysia, sometimes on Google Meet you display some certain things, but then other people do not see that slide. They see the same slide from the beginning. Okay, thank you for that. So just let me know if I keep talking and it seems like the slide is not the same as what I'm talking about. So the problem statement. I'm not going to talk much about this. This is just a sample of problem statement, but this one is not inviting. This one was done for presentation, poster presentation. And, so a little bit more, something that is more specific. When we talk about problem statement, it's what, who. We can talk about where it's happening. So it's a very specific location. You can talk about your district, where you are located in. You can talk about in Indonesia, yes, but which part of Indonesia? A very small. The more specific it is, the more convincing your research is. Possible cause and effect. So when you talk about problem statements, you talk about what causes the problem and what are the effects and what needs to be done. And in your problem statement, you can start introducing your solution or whatever that you are planning on doing that maybe can help addressing it. Okay, because we are talking about research. So research sometimes it doesn't we are figuring out answers to questions. We are not exactly finding solutions to it. Well, not all research. So this is a sample of problem statement that I wrote based in Sabah, right? So what I try to do here is that you can see it's just a one paragraph, but in that one paragraph I color coded it so that it meets certain criteria. So what? The beaches are polluted with plastic garbage, the one in red. And who? The local communities. And where? East coast of Sabah. That's our state in Malaysia. Possible causes, lack of awareness. Possible effects, results in more and more plastic, right? Results in accumulated plastic garbage that is affecting the surrounding. And what needs to be done? And the single-use plastic items. Introduce the solution and finally explain briefly how the solution might work. So this is just a sample of problem statement of how you can write it, and you can write it in a way that you meet all of the criteria necessary for that problem statement. Again, so this is the template that I always use for our students here. I'm teaching at a vocational college, so our students, they do academic writing to a certain extent, but they are writing it in Malay language, the national language. So problem statement, when you write your paragraph or that part in problem statement, you can start with problem explanation in a rough way. You don't have to be specific yet. And then I put it here in the second one, preliminary data observation. So your problem statement will be much stronger if you have data to support it. It could be a survey that you did, it could be observation that you did, it could be questionnaire or interview that you did to support it. Or it can be your own data, or it can be secondary data. That means data that you are able to get from other sources. Okay, so that's much stronger. And if you have the statistics, if you have the charts, you can put it in your problem statement. Okay, problem explanation, and then preliminary data observation to support it. And then you talk about the short-term and long-term effects. Now, so in that way, it really shows why should we address this problem as quick as we can, or how it shows the urgency of addressing the problems when you talk about the long-term effects of it as well as the short-term effect of it. That means if we don't address the problems, more problems, more problems that are more severe will happen as a result of it. And then when you end your paragraph, you can talk about therefore, you can go back how to your research and how your research helped to tackle these problems. So this is just a template that I usually do for the students. So goals and objectives. So in writing dissertation, you do have a goal or purpose, but in writing research articles, you probably only have the objectives. So objectives, it has to be the most common way of constructing our objective is based on SMART. What is SMART? SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Um, because when you are doing a research, your objective guides you with your research. And at the end of the day, in your finding and discussion part, you will talk about how well you accomplished the objective. So that's why it's important to have objectives that are very specific and measurable. That means we can measure it in terms of percentage, in terms of descriptive data, and they are realistic. And of course, time bound, something that you can do within your capacity. Let's just move to the next one. Objective, yeah. So usually with our students here, we taught them to have two objectives for their writing. The first objective is to create whatever product that they are doing. The second objective is to test the effectiveness. So I think for diploma or bachelor's degree, two objectives are okay. But if you are doing PhD or master's degree, you might want to consider more objectives, at least three objectives. Now, why do we need objectives? The reason why we need objectives because you know before you write your objectives, you have the problem statement. So you explain the problem, and your research is addressing this problem. So that's why you need the objectives to make sure that your research do not deviate. Your research does not deviate to something else, right? There is a problem, and then your research is trying to solve that problem. So your findings, your discussion will, and your intervention will be aligned with the problems. So that's why the objective, it links the solution, the problem, the solution, your solution or your intervention or your research to the problem that you will manage to identify. That's why objectives are very important to make sure you stay in the lane of your research and you do not deviate because otherwise you might identify a specific problem, but as you do your research, you start doing something else. At the end of the day, it doesn't really, it's a good, you manage to have some good findings, but these findings do not address your the problems that you identify in the earlier part of your research. Okay, so these are just some of the samples, but I'm not going to talk much about it. Your objectives, you organize them in a proper order, and then you can sequence them too. From the earlier preliminary part, and then to the more complex part. And then there's a research question. Now, the research that, on the other hand, is not all writing articles have research questions. If you do your thesis or dissertation, I think for bachelor's degree or for master's degree, postgraduate, you do have research questions, but sometimes you don't because they are just intertwined with your objectives. But still, it will be helpful to have research questions. Research questions, they are just the same as objectives, right? So your research question will be based on the objectives. So let's look at these research questions here. The first one, what happens to the quality of students' writing when we implement peer editing throughout our 9th grade English classes? So look at that. When you look at these research questions, they are what we call as impartial research questions. They are not biased research questions because the question asks what happens. The question doesn't say uh, how much the quality of student writing improves because when we say it in such way, when we construct it in such way, we already have the bias perspective that the peer editing that will improve the students' writing, but sometimes it doesn't improve it. It might not help at all, or it might result in something else. So that's why when we design research questions, it is more helpful to be to make it more neutral, to make it more neutral. Okay, so you can say what happens to the quality of students' writing when we implement peer editing throughout our 9th grade English class. So we just want to know what happens. So you can further break it. Question stem on what, who, and suggested solution. A question stem: what happens, how does, how can, on what, basically what we are looking at, and then who. There must be subjects or respondents to our in our research question, and then our intervention or solution must be included in it too. So significance of project, that's also very important in a way that significance of project, we look at the potential of the research. Yes, this research, the findings of the research, how can it potentially help people? And we look at also the current issues, trends, and emerging needs. So this is very important as well to make our research relevant. Let's say nowadays we have problems with climate change, sustainability, artificial intelligence, economic crisis. So these are the kind of the things that we have, social justice. So these are the kind of things that we can talk about and include it in our significance of project when we are writing it. And then in the end, how can it potentially contribute to our country? Or maybe you can go with smaller scope, like to our community or organization. Organization is like maybe just your college or your school, but there must be a significant, your project must be significant, your research project. So I'm not going to talk much about this conceptualization and operationalization. So these are the techniques that we use in creating concepts and also breaking concepts into something that is more into aspects that are more measurable. All right. Uh, Limitation of study. So when it's important for our research, for whenever we write our research article, it's important also to have the scope. Basically, scope, it can also mean limitation of our research, because if you do your research at a school in Indonesia, let's say you are doing your research at a school in Indonesia, so that's where your scope is, that you are not doing it in the whole Indonesia, you are not doing it in the whole Southeast Asia, but just one school in one specific place in Indonesia. So that's like a scope of study. When people read about it, they know the how you confine your research. And the other one is also the instrument that you use. So maybe you are using just survey, or maybe you are using interview, or you are just using tests. So those, it's important also to acknowledge that, because when people read your research, they are able to identify the scope of your research. And when they replicate your research, or when they want to use your research, it definitely helps for them to narrow the scope or to identify gaps if they are doing a research that is similar to it. Look at it. Okay, Scott, I'm not going to talk about this thing. Okay, research scope. When we write about research scope, we write about the limitation of the findings of research. Let's say if I do a research on English language level of a college student, 17-year-old college student. So that's where it's limited. It can only be used for that age. It can be only used for students who have finished school because they are at a college. And maybe it can only be used for students of certain backgrounds in certain places. So it cannot be used for everybody. It cannot be, my research cannot be used for children, like little children, because it was conducted on college students. It cannot be used for adult learners, learners who are much older than that because they are not college students. Okay, so that's the thing about research scope. It's very important. And if you look at evaluation, that's your technical measuring your data, and then your respondents, and then all of the technical aspects as well. Okay, let's move on to the second part of it, which is literature review. So literature review, it's important before we literature review is basically studying past research. Now, whenever we do research, we need to search for researchers, studies for any form of academic articles that have been done or that are related to our study in the past so that it can support our research. So finding resources is one thing, and then writing the literature review. So when you do your literature review, it's important to think about the keywords, the keywords that you use in Googling articles, or maybe you can also get artificial intelligence to help you search your articles. And then choose the main points in the sources. Yes, that's pretty obvious. But the most important thing is number 4, is to identify the gaps in the sources. So whenever we do research, the reason why we are looking at the past research, because we need to look at the gap in the research. So sometimes, let's say at your college, you are doing as a research that is you are doing there has been a research at your college in the past about English language level of the students. So you want to do the same research. I mean, not the same research, but you want to do a research on also English language level. So you studied that research done at your college to identify the gap, what has been done and what has not been done. So your research is done to fill in the gap or to fill in what has not been done or what has not been found out about the previous research. So that's why identifying the gap is extremely important. And then you can outline the structure of your literature review. It's either chronological, that means there's a research in 1995, and then after that 2005, and then 2014, and then 2022. So in a chronological order, that means according to the time, or it could be according to the themes. So let's say you are doing it based on health. So you are doing it on physical health and then mental health, and then you know in such way, or maybe methodological. That means your research, the previous one did survey, the second one did test, and then the third one did interview. So you arrange your literature review based on the methods that were used by the previous studies, or it could be theories. So the previous uh, studies, they use different theories, so you arrange them according to the theories. Okay, when you write your literature review, uh, this is uh, this could be like an outline point. You can have the time timeliness. Okay, yeah, just a way of it. Usually for studies, there it's important for you to state the time, how recent it is. It is if it's before pandemic, like 2019 and below, it's a bit distant away. But after the pandemic, 2022, so that's pretty recent. Highlight the gap, yes, and then for the body of your literature review, you can either summarize it, you can interpret it, or you can evaluate the research, and then you have your own conclusion for that. So again, with my students, go. Okay, so now we are looking at variables. So variables. So what are variables? Well, you remember learning this in science. There are always two types of variables: independent variables and dependent variables. So independent variables are the variables that you change, that are being changed, and that is the code. And dependent variables are variables that are affected by the change, the effect of the independent variables. So that's how you identify your literature review. You look at your topic, you look at your objective, you look at your research questions, you identify the variables, the independent variables and the dependent variables, and then you search past studies related to both of these variables. Okay, so this is just the template that I usually use. When you write your literature review, the first paragraph, you explain why these studies are important. And then you first start explaining the independent variable, and then you follow it with dependent variable. And then you explain how the independent variable influences dependent variable. So let's say you dependent variables and dependent variables. Let's say you are changing the technique in writing English language. So you want the students to use AI, artificial intelligence, to help them write their essay. So you believe that when you are using AI in the classroom, the students can write better essay of their own. So what is the independent variables? Is the AI, artificial intelligence. That's what you are changing. That's what you are using in the class. So you don't teach them using textbooks anymore. You are using AI. So what is the dependent variables? It's the quality of their writing, their essay. So if you are using AI, their work might get better. So that's how you identify the variables. And then your literature review will be based on these two, which is the artificial intelligence. You will need to look at research on artificial intelligence and its effects in the, teaching. And then you look at the students and you look at essay language writing and what are the factors that are affecting English language writing. So that's how you do identify your variables in your research. So I do have some templates here, independent variables. So usually for our students, we tell them to get at least two research. You do need two research, and then you explain, the findings of these research, and then what are the challenges or opportunities. What are the challenges or opportunity? What are the challenges or opportunities that you can see from these two studies? So let's say AI, artificial intelligence. You look at all the research in the internet or in journals, and then you look at how AI is changing classroom education, and then you have this thing, this idea, this opportunity that AI can help students write better essay. It will give them ideas, it will help them to correct their sentences, and so on. Okay, so, and your research finally is trying to address this challenge or opportunity. So you do that for independent variables, you also do it for the dependent variables. And then the next one is methodology. So methodology, the sample and the treatment is extremely important. I'm just going to skip some of these. So when it comes to methodology, when you're writing your methodology, you need to look at your sample of population, and then you need to justify why you pick the sample, right? So let's say you want to study the English language level in your district. So you feel like it's better for you to go to the town and you choose a restaurant where many people go and meet and talk to each other, and you want to use that as the restaurant customers as your sample for your research. Okay, so you talk about that. Who are your sample? Who is your sample? These restaurant customers, and why you choose them? Because that's the place where they go. People from all walks of life, from all different places and villages in the town, they go to that place and meet there and talk there, although they might not even know each other. And then you explain your technique of choosing them, whether it's random, whether it's purposive. So that's just part of it. All right. And then you talk about your treatment here. If you are doing a treatment or intervention, so you can talk about it in more specific way. You think about approach. When we are doing our approach, we look at numerical, quantitative, or qualitative. Right. So quantitative is basically numerical. So it involves numbers, count, percentage, frequency. So those are numerical. That means they are numbers. So they are quantitative. You can quantify them. You can count them. But then you might be also doing it qualitatively. So you are looking into descriptive. Okay. Descriptive, that means you are looking at qualities, characteristics, abstract abstract concepts that cannot be numbered, that cannot be quantified. So those are qualitative. So you look at that population and sample, yeah, you can explain more about it, like how many of them, why them, their background, so on. So instrument and method. So you can have a lot of instruments, interview, observation grid, checklist, focus group. I think checklist is pretty common when you are doing something that involves a technical product. Survey is very common too. Experiment, yeah. Experiment, interview, and then you analyze the interview. Document analysis, so you can analyze document analysis. You can analyze Facebook posts, letters, what else? Social media posts, YouTube videos, WhatsApp messages, and books, any of the students' book, students' journals. So these are all documents and you can always analyze them. And it's a very popular technique too, especially in action research that usually teachers do. And then content analysis, it's pretty much the same as document analysis, but the focus is more on the content itself. Um, so when you write your methodology, you talk about this is just an introductory sample of introduction paragraph, right? So you talk about how the data were collected and then how the subjects were chosen and what instrument that you use. And then, yeah, I always come up with a template like this for my students. So you can talk about the sample and the details of the instruments. You know, if you are doing a questionnaire, like how do you split the questionnaire into several components, categories, and then how do you construct them, how many questions, and then data collection, how do you collect the data? Did you give it to them online, like on Google Form, you email it to them, you send text messages to them, or you print the questions out and then you distribute them these questions to these respondents. Now, how you collect the data and then how you analyze the data. That's another part of it. So let's move to chapter 4. So chapter 4 is where you present your results and discussion. So you present your findings in different instrument and methods. So let's say if you use more than one instrument, like you use survey and then you use observation. So you present them separately in your findings. You know, the first part you present the survey first and then you follow it up with your observation finding. Yeah, so quantitative usually there will be in charts, graphs, or tables, while qualitative, I'm sorry, it's not quantitative, qualitative, it will be in paragraphs, verbal forms, but you categorize them according to themes. And then you interpret the findings, and most importantly, you discuss how well, you discuss your findings according to your objectives. And then you link them again. If you remember in chapter 2, you do literature review. So that's where in chapter 4, you refer back for your discussion part, you refer back to what you discovered, to what you discussed in your chapter 2 literature review, and then whether they are consistent or supportive of what you are able to find out, or whether they contradict or clash with that. So quantitative data, which is numerical, so you present your findings first. That will be in graphs or tables. And then you discuss the numerical data. So you most often you talk about the highest number, the lowest number, and then the trend, whether it goes up, whether it goes down, or whether uh, there's certain highlights in the tables, and then you summarize the whole result. So these are some samples of quantitative data. Uh, that you will include in your academic writing. And then, yeah, this is basically a bar chart. For qualitative data, they are like interview, right? Like interview responses that are more in verbal form in paragraph. So you label them and categorize them according to similar themes. So this is how you do qualitative data. So you have all these respondents, all these answers, and then you quote them according to the relevant themes. Like this paragraph is food preferences. And then the next paragraph from the child, it's about food preferences, it's about healthy food, it's about peer influence. So you do it in such way. And then after you do the initial coding, you further break it apart like this, like contrast and contradictions, copying trends. So this is the final coding of what you are able to code and extract from the previous from the qualitative data. Okay, so basically for quantitative data, we usually have this kind of min range to help us interpret the data. So chapter 5 is where it's where you summarize your research and then you conclude it, and then you also do recommendation for future studies. Whenever you are obviously whenever you do a research, you will the recommendation is about what future studies can do after they learn about your research. Okay, and then you have your references, right? I think FPA style is the most common one, and they are written in alphabetical order. So these are some of the aspects that you need to look at when you are doing your research. The abstract, and then you have to have acknowledgement, table of content, tables, figures, illustration, and all these kind of things. They are basically the technical aspects of your research writing, which I'm not going to really discuss in the presentation, in our presentation today. And then the labeling as well. So remember, if it's a figure means it can be a picture, it can be a chart, a picture, illustration. So the label is always under the figure, like this one, Raja part point part. So it's under the figure. Okay, so like what do you call it? Like bar charts too, or edit charts. So basically, it's considered figure, and you put the label or the title of the figure under the chart. But it's different if it's table. Like this one, it's a table. So if it's a table, you put the label on top of the table. So you don't put it under the table. So that's how you label the table universally. And then as for references, so the most common references, it's basically the most common way of doing reference is, well, according to the APS style, American Psychological Association. So, you can also, you put the author comes first, and then the date, which is the year, and then the title, and then you can put the sources there. You can also put the link, the website link, the three for which year. And what it shows here as well is how you are extracting the information from, let's say, a research article, right? So this is where you look at the title, and then you look at the author, you look at the journal that it's being published, the source of it, and the year is there too, the year, the volume, and then yeah, where it's being published. Well, you can do a little bit of exercise, but we're not going to do this here. Okay, basically, so that's all from me, the research articles. So I do have, you can Google me on ResearchGate just to, if you want to look at the research articles that I have written. Um, so you can look at that. So the format is pretty much consistent with what I shared with you guys. Okay. So with that, I'm going to, the moderator, we are going to do a question and answer session now, or we move to the next speaker.
Dr. Sirhajwan. Thank you for your insightful presentation. I'm sure that our audience has learned a lot from you today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, turning to the next session, question and answer. I will open two questions from the participants. Please type your brief and short question in chat box or please raise your hand if you have a question.
So yeah, we have a question here. Let me just see. It's from Esther. Hello, sir. Good morning. I'm Esther, and I want to ask you, how do we write an interesting opening sentence in the introduction of article so that it can attract readers' attention to the article we are writing? For example, if we write an opening sentence like English sentence, so it is important to learn this to general first. Thank you. Okay, Esther. Um, I think it's well, I know that it's a bit too general, but it's there's a huge difference between writing a research article and let's say a magazine or newspaper articles. So usually for research article, we're going to be we're going to write it in a way that it's straightforward and technical. But if we write let's say a news article or magazine article or feature article, so we can start with language that is very flowery, language that is embellished. You know, I could smell the taste of the water from a distance, something like that. But usually with uh with research article, it has to be very straightforward and technical. So it's okay. It might sound boring, but that's just how it is because it's what an academic article needs to convey the point straight away. But I know that English is an international language, so it's important to learn. It's not. It's a little too general. So how you can start with the research is that you can first highlight. You can highlight. You can start by highlighting. You can start by highlighting a dire issue that is currently taking place. That, or you can start by citing recent research, statistics. Okay, for example, according to the latest PISA test or universal test, it shows that the English language proficiency of our people in this country is declining rapidly. You can say something like that. Or you can start highlighting a very dire issue. Most of the students, most of the people, most of the young people in this country are not able, let's say, more than 50% of young people in the country are not able to find jobs because they are not fluent in English language. So something that really shows the gravity of the situation. Or you can start with statistics. Hello, sir. I'm Uchi, and I want to ask, how can I ensure my research article is suitable for publication in high impact journal? It's not easy to get published in high impact journal. You can just try to write, basically writing a research article, it goes back to the process of writing, where whenever you write something, it goes through a process of revising it again and again and again. And usually for high impact journal, when you send it to the high impact journal, they're going to send it back to you with your feedback on how it should be improved. And so you just keep doing it until they accept your article and publish it. So it's a process of revising your article. So that's just a very common process in writing. So you don't have to pressure yourself to write something, finish it, and there you go. It's a very excellent writing that will get published in high impact journal. So it doesn't have to be in such way. It's a process. And then the other way is that you can always look at the research articles that are being published by that particular high impact journal. And then you look at it and then you study the structure of the writing and how the kind of approach that they look at, so you can base your writing on that. Hello, sir. Thank you for the great material. I'm Alfia, and I want to ask, if we want to do research, we often discuss the topics we want to raise and have similarities with others. How do we find the uniqueness of our research so that it avoids plagiarism? So the thing about writing a research article, you are looking for a gap, Alfia. So search for the gap in your research. Okay, there must be a gap or gaps, and even the tiniest gap uh, is necessary, right? This is one thing. And then the other one, sometimes when you are doing a research, you are also trying to introduce a certain solution or intervention. And this is where you can incorporate the elements of uniqueness that separates your research from others. Okay. Uh, I hope that answers the question, sir. You guys can just keep writing it there, and I will write my answers. But I think it's due to the time constraint. Let's move to the second speaker. Uh, and if you have questions, you can still write it on the chat box. I will read it and answer it. But I think to save more time, I think we can move on to the next speaker, Mr. Marklin.
Okay, Doctor, thanks for your answer. I have also question. If we talk about writing scientific articles, of course, for beginner writers, sometimes get confused. How do we start to write, get the data, and finish it? Can you provide motivation for us not to be afraid to start it?
I'm sorry, I can't hear it clear. I couldn't hear it clearly. What was that? If you want to start writing an article, what kind of issues that you guys usually have?
Okay, if we talk about writing articles, of course, writing get confused. How do we start to write, get data, and finish it? Can you provide motivation for us not to be afraid to start?
You mean, let's see, you get confused over you get confused over the how to start.
Yes, how to start research and write for article.
So but I think it is important for you to, when you start a research, it's important for you to, it will be very helpful if you do reading, if you read research articles, if you read newspapers articles, if you read any, post from, even from social media, online use, you read all of this. So you will be able to identify, it will be able to give you that ideas of what's the latest concern that people have. Because whenever you want to write a research, you are trying to find an answers to a question, and then these questions, they are related to problems that people are facing. So that will be very helpful too. And then your own personal experience is going to be very helpful too. Let's say you are an English language learner, and then you want to find out why people have difficulties learning English language. So you look back into your own uh, to yourself how you learn English language, what did you think about English language, and then you look at the people around you, maybe your family members, your classmates, the people in your hometown or in your village. You look at them and try to like recall what are the things that they what are the potential difficulties that are facing, and what are the things that could help them learn better. So from there, from this, you will be able to get that ideas which can kickstart your research journey. right? So I hope that answers the question. You feel free to write your questions on the chat. I think it's probably clearer if you can write it.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, your answer. And I'm sorry because my voice is not clear because in beside my room there are so many students do activities here.
It's fine.
Okay, all questions have been answered by the speaker. Then before we get close to the first speaker, Dr. Sirhajwan Idet was requested to provide a short closing statement for us.
Hello, hello everybody. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Marklin.
Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we
Okay,
hear
good.
you.
Okay, selamat pagi everybody. I'm going to share with you my slides. And all right, are you able to see it?
Oh, okay, yes, sister. You can see it.
Yes. Okay, good. So it is a quite similar to Dr. Muhammad Sirhajwan's presentation just now, but I'll be focusing on how to write an English article. Okay. So I'm going to move to the second slide. All right. Writing an article, there's always setbacks to this because article writing is not really encouraging people to write. An article writing is actually a process that leads to mental block. People will tend to have this kind of uneasiness to write an article. Furthermore, they will have this kind of aggression and also a breakdown. And this when will this happen is that this process of writing takes time, perhaps longer, because researching is a toll. It means that if you want to get your article, which is genuine and politically correct, you have to do a lot of research, and your research must be relevant. Who? Young students like you. Because young students like you may dislike writing article because all information has to have facts and logics. It is quite hard to find facts and logics these days, although we can use AI or digital reading or books, but you try to compare this information and that information to another set of information, it will give you some kind of hunch that the comparison of facts may lead you a mental breakdown. Okay? And it is not a creative writing, but a fixed method. Okay, why? Finding relevant, accurate sources of information is tiring because you need to read a lot of things. You need to know a lot of themes, a lot of situation or perception or conceptualization in that particular article. And then, if you do not have all these, you shouldn't be able to write. And then you will not have a study skill to do so, or study system, because study skill or study system will coerce the process if not having them. Okay, and furthermore, I believe that Indonesia and Malaysia are taking English language as a second language because we honor our first language, our mother tongue language, which is Bahasa Melayu, and being able to command English language in our daily life is not really, how to say, it's not really competent. Okay, that is why we find hard to find relevant or accurate sources of information. And then where we will get all these from digital and non-digital article, writing is not as popular as of the 90s because as you can see, article writing is mostly written on the newspapers or on the magazines. But when we come to this age, 2024, digital article writing, yes, it is there, but most of them will be valued, will be priced, and then you have to pay. And where could they publish it without getting any feedback? So getting any feedback back then was very important. However, at this moment in 2024, getting a feedback um, would be less because people cannot really put a very constructive criticism to it. If we tend to do that, it is good, but we will have less good feedback then. And how one publishing company may want the articles to be provoking. Yes, in 2024, it is all about provoking because we want to change the world for a better use, for a better environment. But writers and editors are run down by some policies from the government. It means that our governments, they have this kind of policies that we cannot cross them. Okay, if you want to talk about something to do with independence, we cannot harass other races, we cannot harass other facts about how this government, how this country is built. Okay, is writing, and furthermore, is writing an article of freedom? Okay, we shall see. All right, so we have the history of writing an English article, why people do not like to write it. And let's take a look at the overview. I'm still using the 5W, sorry, yeah, the 5W plus 1H. An article writing is written for either newspapers or magazines or journals with a certain issue that is trending. So right now in 2024, any issue that is trending, it is best for you to write an article because you get the impact from the surroundings, especially the readers, that they have this kind of relation or connection towards what you're going to write. And then pick a topic that suits your interest and has impact to anybody. If people have this kind of impact, they will be able to give you feedback. Constructive feedback is very important here. And when you young students would be able to do that, it means that you are going to write a very good research paper. A large audience suffices messages are being conveyed. So meaning that a large audience is well known about this issue, but they need to know more by reading your article. Okay, and listing the limelight of the topic. The limelight of the topic is the cause or the matter that is going to enlighten the readers about what your theme is, what your topic is, that will give them impacts. And then second is about information. We have to find a lot about the supportive information to it, the supporting details. And then three, suggestions or advice. It means that we are writing an article, we are giving suggestions to people as well as the advice, because we suggest that people to read, we suggest that people to give it back, and we suggest them to act upon the advice that is given if you write on the article. And then in 2024, influencing is quite viral these days. And if you have the article written by you, you should be able to influence, to persuade people that this topic, the matter of your topic, will actually give them access to speak out, to voice out. By getting the attention from the readers, and article writing is located virtually and physically publishing. Okay, may we publish our article on Facebook or perhaps on ebook or e-journals? Yes, we can do so, because what we write, people will read. What they have read, they would comment. They would give some kind of constructive feedback. And let's talk about the steps. You need to target your audience. If you're talking something to do with international English language. Okay, you are talking to a student. That is your target, and the purpose is found because English language is quite important. So that is the purpose, and then information is gathered. You're getting all the facts, the logics, and all that, and you're going to organize them. Right? So that is the overview. Okay. And article writing is a process. Yes, it is a process. It is a tiring process if you do not enjoy it. But once you get your topic of interest right, you will not care less about how exhausted you are. Okay, steps to outline. First, you need to identify the concerning reading group. Okay, that is the target audience. And then second, you need to find the objective or aim of writing the article. Because having the objective or aim of writing the article, it will lead people to finish reading your article. And number three, identify the details that are most significant to the topic. Okay, you need to do some kind of research from books or journals. And four, you need to arrange the details in a logical way. Okay, let's move on to the next one. In the process, there is an ingredient. Of course, article writing will ask you to write an essay, and that essay must have the introductory paragraph, 2 or 3 main point paragraphs, and a concluding paragraph. So your introductory paragraph, Esther asked about this. What could you do to make people read your article? For your introductory paragraph, that is in the first paragraph, you should put a very catchy, interesting, and short sentences, because people will have to be engaged with what you are going to write. And then 2 or 3 main point paragraphs must have proper grammar, proper spelling, proper punctuations, vast vocabulary, accurate tenses, okay? And then you have to use special codes which are relevant to what you are going to write, your topic of interest. And then let's move on to the concluding paragraph. You can recommend opinion or anticipation or appeal, because when you have these 3 things, maybe you just want to write one of them. Okay, you can actually give them to think. Okay, to think, and then if they are able to think, they will be just like you. They want to write another article of the same topic. Okay, in our college, okay, these were the examples of our students who did the article writing, and Dr. Sirhajwan submitted them to the international level, international competition, and we had few more, but I did not include them here. Dr. Sirhajwan actually edited all the articles he had written by them before submitting them. So it means that to have that high impact article writing, you must have an editor to do the editorial task on your writing. By having the same feedback, okay, from the same person whom you go with, you can always go to another person who will check your article before publishing. All right, this one from Caleb Evander. He is our student here. Is now in semester 3. His article is about finding the cornerstone of youth volunteerism that he has actually done in our college, in our country. And then we have this here, Olinardo Alexander. He's actually from electrical technology. Okay, he's still under pre-diploma years, but he was able to write an article that he talked about electricity. Okay, and then there's another one by Alicia Carmen Eric here. She was talking about bridging divides, how I overcome conflict through communication. So all this article writing will be will be a jump start for them to assess what issue is going on in this world, and actually will give them the opportunity to give their opinions, anticipation, as well as their um, appeal, what we can do uh, based on what they are trying to write. All right. Now, when it comes to article writing, you have to teach yourself. You take a role as a teacher to yourself, or perhaps you want to do this to your students if you are going to teach them. But it is not good if you don't have certain techniques or certain anecdotes that you can use. Okay, so the first one, for the introductory paragraph, you can use the funnel technique. Okay, the first one is the hook. And second one is introductory remarks. And number three is thesis statement. Okay, interest of topic. Interest of topic can be a theme. So you must know that having a theme will lead you to do something, will guide you. Okay. It is about love at first sight. This is an example only. Okay, the hook here, for example, eyes cannot lie, heart beats a Chinese drum as if a battlefield, then adrenaline rushes the brain to build notes of love. And seeing a person without glancing twice, that is love at the first sight. So this is the hook that will catch the attention of the readers. So it is supposed to be interesting, it is supposed to be catchy, and it's supposed to be short. And for the remarks, it was not until William Shakespeare wrote "Whoever loved that love not at first sight." It is from As You Like It, Act 3, Scene 5, on his playwright, that we often disable ourselves by the power of love. So if you want to engage the readers more on your on your writing, you should be able to get the facts right. Okay, for example, here it is from William Shakespeare, and then the last one, it is about the thesis statement. Love at first sight carries a character, a twist, and an act. So it narrows, having the thesis statement, it narrows down what the readers could find from your article. All right, and then on 2 or 3 main idea paragraphs, you may use the puzzle technique. This technique has description, expression, sequencing, and deliberating. So we do have 3 main ideas here. Number 1, character. Number 2, twist. Number 3, act. Okay. For main idea character, you may write something like this. What a character must be when we fall in love? First of all, we are not ruled out by any reprimand that we cannot fall for love at first sight. Juliet may not evoke sight from Romeo as he climbs the wall for her, or he is a distant barking love like Rapunzel being picked by Flynn Rider. So the examples given here, Juliet and Romeo and Juliet, and another one is from Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. So having these two couples, having these two couples will actually lead them to think that love at first sight was the thing, but the explanation of it comes from what we have known about. Okay, Romeo and Juliet we know, and Rapunzel and Flynn Rider we know from the movie Tangle. Okay, and then let's move on to the second paragraph. Sorry, the third paragraph. The main idea is twist. Sightedness may come in short or longer, depending on what your optometrist would verdict it by signs. In reality, any love relationship will often attract hatred from those who are lonely, dominantly mentally ill, and stressed out with societal breakthrough. The Montagues and the Capulets never let Romeo and Juliet to be in a bond of love and marriage. For example, even Mother Gothel is tirelessly breaking Rapunzel and Flynn. Expectations endeavor acts of strickling dilemma towards anybody, even you are already in a relationship or on plan to destroy others. So meaning that in this third paragraph, there's a twist that in the in the article itself that will enlighten, no, that will give the readers to think and to say that whatever you have written may have an opposition to each other. So the third paragraph is somehow to attract more attention from the readers, that they can give certain feedback that the third paragraph is not right. Okay, it can be right, it can be wrong as well. And then the last paragraph is about act. What heart wants matters the most. An ocean filled with sharks, a man dies to follow on for his love, like Jack to Rose confessing love as an act by just clinging on a piece of wood. This comes from Titanic, yeah? It was a tremendous cold night, but the breaths warmed them up until Jack died and Rose lived. So it is still about love at first sight, but when it comes to this one, okay, the concluding paragraph, you must use the mark technique. You should be able to give your opinion, anticipation, and appeal. So we knew that this statement was love at first sight carries a character, a twist, and an act. The concluding paragraph that you could write is that what else do you need? Act now, let the wedding bell ring. So coming from love at first sight, there is a good ending towards the end of it. So that is how you bring in people to read your article, giving them a very interesting topic to think about. All right. You also need to take a role as a student, okay? Because being a student, it means that you need to learn, you need to master it, you need to acquire your process of writing an article. So you may use the Gibbs reflective cycle. The Gibbs reflective cycle may have 6 stages. The first stage is description. So you have to recount your experience while you are writing the article. Okay, questions like, what happened when I wrote it? What happened when you wrote about the love at the first sight? Was it all about you? Was it you ever experienced it before? Okay, was I involved generally with the targeted audience? Meaning that if you could understand your own writing, would your audience would be able to understand yours? And then where did this article occur? When I was interested in the topic. How could you write an article like that? Was it because it was trending? Was it because you felt that people lost their ways lately? All right. And then the second stage is about your feelings. You need to capture your emotional response. Okay, remember, article writing connects people. When it comes to a connection or relationship, it has to do with your emotions. It has to do with the reader's emotions. How was the tone of my writing? Is your tone of writing is serious? Is your tone of your writing is happy? Okay, why was I being positive or negative towards it? So when you were being negative, you would tend to attract less of readers reading your article. But if you were being positive, they will come to you. There will be a larger audience coming to you. And then the third stage is about evaluation. You need to assess the logics. Did I use correct facts? Okay, correct facts here like Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, Romeo and Juliet, hey, Jack and Rose. Did I intrigue sway the reading for more information after they read it? If they want to read about Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, let them be. If they want to read about Jack and Rose on Titanic, let them be. Sorry, Titanic cannot be read. They have to watch it. So did I become creative? In writing an article, you can always become a creative writer, but you have to really take care of your words that are supposedly suitable to address concern or topic of your interest. And then the fourth stage is about the analysis. You need to draw relevant literature. The codes empower my topic. Okay, so the quotes are quite important because your topic will be strengthened or will be supported. Okay, have it been directing people who read it to do some concise acts, meaning that could you lead people to do what you are advising them to do? And number five, conclusion. That is the fifth stage. You need to determine your purpose of the article from beginning till the end. Did I specifically encourage or discourage the readers? What if they would give mental feedback? Okay, you need to be aware that if the readers can give you certain feedback, you should know that your writing gives impacts to them. Okay, and the sixth stage is about the action plan. You need to detail a plan. If they return a feedback, would I embark the new writing? Would you explain on what you have written before? Okay, would I act on what I wrote so my article will become genuine? So if you want your article to become relevant and genuine to them, you should be acting on what you ever have written. Okay, you should be able to show example, good example to them. So I think that is the end of the presentation on writing the English article. If you have any question, you may write it down on the chat box or you may ask me directly. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Marklin, thank you for your insightful presentation. I'm sure that our audience has learned a lot from you today. And I apologize because due to technical error, I have not read your curriculum vitae first.
You cannot really see all the slides. Is that a problem?
No, I mean that I haven't yet read your curriculum vitae.
Your bio, Marklin. She forgot to
Yes.
read it before you started.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
So
You
that's
may
why
do it
she's
now.
sorry.
Oh, the bio. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So I will repeat first to provide information to the participants while waiting the question from the participants. Okay. Okay, everyone. Mr. Martin Muin is a coordinator of Malaysian University English Test International Vocational College. For your information, he received a Bachelor of Education in Teaching English as a Second Language with homes from University Putra Malaysia and Temanggung Ibrahim Johor Bahru Teachers Training College. He also has selected award and recognition, one of them the Kaulah Bintang Award at 2022. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, turning to the next session, question and answer. I will open three questions first from the participant. You can type your brief and short question in chat box, or please raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, there is a question from Agung Wibowo.
Oh, okay. Hello, Mr. Angul. Hello, sir. I'm very interested in this topic and want to improve my writing skills. By the way, my name is Angul. I would like to ask about how to choose the right topic for an article in English, especially if I want to attract the attention of international readers. Additionally, how can I translate articles that we have written in Indonesian to English so that they are more interesting and grammatically correct? Usually, every time I write an English article, I write in Indonesian first. All right. Hello. Hi, Angul. Okay. If you want to cater the readers from international level, perhaps you can choose SDG. SDG Sustainable Development Goals. They talk about certain issues that you can write on. For example, like poverty, education, and sustainable resources. You can you can take a look on these SDGs, and then you can write about them. And first, you're going to write in English. Sorry, in Indonesian first, right? Okay, writing the first language is okay. Is okay, but when you are going to translate it, yes, of course, you can use a lot of AI digital to do so. However, get an editor. Get an editor to check your article first before publishing it. Okay, and here you can say that you translate it into English using Google Translate. Yeah, that's okay, but it's best for you to get an editor to do some kind of editorial. When I read the English translation results, sometimes they become ambiguous and disconnected because the grammar has changed. Yeah, that is true. How can I overcome this issue considering my limited English language skills? So I guess I answered your question already. You need to get a person who is skilled in English to edit your article. So I guess I have answered your question, Mr. Agong. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your answer. And I have a question also that I will type in the chat box.
Okay, sure. Okay, from Ariani. Ariani says, Mr. Marklin, sometimes if you like to read a book or article by someone else many times, then we are carried away by the tone of the sentence or style of the previous author. How do we create unique writing without plagiarizing other people's work? All right. The tone of the writer from the article writing you have just read, okay, it is their personal choice of tone. Okay, you can set another tone that is yours. So when you are giving a feedback, constructive feedback, I think it's just for you to um, be genuine with your tone of writing. For example, if you read an article that was all about anger, okay, you could actually provide a solution and appeal to it that um, you give your certain input that would be a contrast towards the first author's tone of writing. So I think that's how you're going to avoid plagiarism. I guess I answer your question, Ariani.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your answer.
All right, all right.
Okay, does anyone have any more question? You can write in the chat box or you can raise your hand.
Okay,
Okay.
from Dia Ayu. Okay, Dia Ayu Razika. Hello, sir. My name is Zeka. Hello. I would like to ask you a question. How does the introduction transition from general background information to a specific research focus? I'm confused and afraid that my introduction is still a mess. Could you please explain the inverted triangle method in writing the introduction? All right, the inverted triangle method in writing the introduction is called the funnel technique. Okay, you want to become a specific. You want to become specific in your um, research focus. You have to use thesis statement. You should be able to write a thesis statement because coming from the general, you become supported, and then you'll become known to what you're going to write on your research paper. So thesis statement is the answer. I hope I answer your question, Roseka. Use a thesis statement will allow you to, yeah, give the readers focus on your research paper because you have already explained to them what you're going to write. All right, thank you. You're welcome, Rosika.
Okay, Rasika, thanks for your question. And it doesn't even have a more question. Please write in your textbook. Okay, if there are no more questions, we will move on to the last session. Okay, thank you, Mr. Marklin Milin, for your presentation, excellent answer, and closing. An excellent answer, and I'm sure that our audience has gathered a lot of your valuable insight for you today. And thank you once again for your time and best contribution for education. Hopefully, we can meet in the other activities for the next time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our international guest lecture on writing effective English articles, a complete guide for scientific articles. I hope you have enjoyed the session and gained some valuable insights and knowledge from our speakers. And then we would like to thank the speaker for the informative and insightful presentation. Thank you once again for your time and best contribution for education. Hopefully, we can meet in the other activities for the next time. In this session, we would like to ask Dr. Sirhajwan Idek and Mr. Marklin William to deliver closing statements for us.
So closing statement. So thank you so much for inviting us, for inviting Mr. Marklin and I. So it's an honor, and we hope that this can be the start of a greater collaboration between our college, between our institution, with your institution, and I hope keep on writing. Writing is important. I believe you guys. It's either you are English language students or you are studying English language as part of your program. So English language writing is extremely important, especially in the era of social media and digital revolution, where we can easily use so many platforms to share our ideas, to promote our ideas, to advocate for certain causes. And I think writing is a way for it, whether it's a research article or academic writing or any form of writing. But yeah, that's all from me. I'll pass it to Mr. McQueen. Thank you.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for inviting me as well, and Dr. Mawas as well. And yes, it is good that having two countries all together on this platform, and then we can really exchange our ideas, and perhaps we can really giving some kind of good inputs to each other. Because we know that English language in our country is actually a second language, and we try to speak with it, and of course we try to produce it by writing something that is good for any of us, and of course the world. Okay, and thank you so much, Indonesia, for having me. Love you all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin and Dr. Sirhajwan, for your closing statement. And of course, we are waiting for the arrival of Mr. Martin and Dr. Sirhajwan in Indonesia, especially at STKP PGRI Pacitan. Okay, next we ask the Dr. Sirhajwan and Mr. Martin be willing to take virtual photo together with us. Okay, please for all the participants to open your cam. Oke, dimohon untuk para peserta membuka kameranya karena setelah ini kita akan melakukan sesi foto bersama. Okay, and Agung, please help me to take the picture. Okay, I will count. Okay, I will count 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, beras foto. One, two, and three. Okay, thank you for
Thank
my
you.
friend and for the speakers. Okay, however, for this virtual activity, let me remind you to fill in the attendance list using the link that has been shared in